Hello, it's Richard Haggerty. I'm fighting a difficult battle. You know, it's 25 days in, or it's 2 weeks in, and I'm fighting a difficult battle. I've nearly fallen off the wagon, and I've nearly relapsed with smoking cigarettes. You know, I'm really trying hard to quit smoking, and it's like a constant battle. I hear this all the time from smokers, and it's, you know, my heart goes out to them. My heart goes out to you. I know it's difficult when you're stuck in that loop and your mindset is like that, and it feels like this is the only way that you've got to cope with life, and it feels like it's a struggle and it becomes all your focus. You know, you want to avoid it, but you need it as a psychological crutch. You've got these two can be, you've got this cognitive dissonance of, on the one hand you want to quit, on the other you are stuck between a rock and a hard place, because fundamentally that is your psychological crutch. So let's dive in, because there's some really good news that you can change this. First thing to recognize is, if it feels like, as a smoker, that it's a constant battle, if that's the metaphor that you have inside your mind, what do you think you are going to experience? All right. You know, if I said to you, you know, don't think of lemons, don't think of lemons, don't think of biting into a lemon, don't think of the taste in your mouth, don't think of the strong smell of lemons, what's going to happen? You're going to start to, at some level, experience some internal representation, some thoughts, some feelings, some reflections about that. And it's exactly the same with smoking. When your mind is completely focused around it and obsessed with it, then everything revolves around it. So you're really creating an increased expectation of smoking, especially when you add the metaphor of battle. One sign that smokers have not moved towards the identity of a non-smoker, and that you don't have an effective and efficient plan in place, is when I hear things like, oh, I'm 14 days in, I'm really struggling, or I'm 3 months in, or I'm 6 months in, or I'm 2 years in, and I'm still really worried. You know, I'm counting the days, you know, I'm looking at every day that I've done, but oh, you know, the relapse could happen any day, you know, I could fall off the wagon. What that means is you've got an identity of a smoker who's forcing themselves and feeling like they're missing out, and worried that they're going to miss out, and worried that they're going to stop. Quitting. What you want to do is you want to quit and stop smoking. And there's a huge difference. Once you make that shift to becoming a non-smoker, you don't have this problem anymore, because you're not thinking about it, the emotion's gone, and you literally just quit and stop. To make this change to becoming a non-smoker, to quitting smoking, you have to get past this idea of it being a battle. Okay, the battle comes from a lot of social conditioning, a lot of well-meaning conditioning, including, you know, government campaigns that tell everyone that nicotine's addictive and that it's hard and you're going to have all these withdrawal symptoms and cravings. And what that does is it just adds layers of fear to the original concern, to the original actual underlying emotional connection that people have to smoking. The fact that it gives them time for a break, it helps them deal with a lack of confidence or boredom or anxiety, or that it's a way to reward them, or it's their way for social connection, or it's a way for them to have something in common with their partner, a time for a discussion, a reason to celebrate something to do with your hands. So these are the actual things that we need to address, and adding other negative expectations around is not helping. You see, smoking is not a battle, all right? Smoking is simply a habit where people are used to picking something up, putting it in their mouth and lighting it, all right? It's, on one level, the easiest thing to break, because you simply stop doing it, right? It's not like the person who has to train to do a marathon. They've got to get up every day and really put in those hours and time on the ground. No, you don't go down the shop, you don't put money in your pocket, you don't pick things up, you don't put it in your mouth, you just get on with your life. You have more freedom, you're breathing better, your mindset's better, you have a sense that, well, you're doing everything you can that's within your grasp to live a healthy life, and you just enjoy your life and you get on with it. That's not a battle, okay? So the battle, the metaphor of a battle, is something that's programmed into you. If you want to stop struggling with smoking, then you're going to need to change that metaphor of this is a battle. And you do that, the first step to do that really is just to understand where it has come from, okay? People use language in a very kind of, as fact sometimes, okay? Rather than presenting, it feels a bit like a battle. I could get that, all right? But it is not an actual battle, and it doesn't have to be. Battle suggests there's going to be casualties, it's going to be hard, that there may be some, attrition. You might be like surrounded by all your fears and all the stresses of life, and it's like you're under siege, and you've got this fear going on all the time. If you live like that, what are your odds of staying a non-smoker? So you need to move to doing something different. The good news is, it's not as hard as you think to stop smoking. The very first thing is change that metaphor. Realize that it's just this idea of smoking being a battle. It comes from a misunderstanding that the majority of the problems that people have are to do with nicotine addiction. In some cases, that can be a little bit more than others, but in my experience, it's primarily the psychological addiction that really we need to deal with. And ultimately, that's what you're going to need to deal with, okay? The feelings and the thoughts that smoking gives you, the sense of well-being, the sense of comfort, the sense of being able to cope and deal with life, okay? Then we have your ability to change, and your sense of how hard that's going to be gets leveraged on there, okay? Remember, if we have an expectation that it's going to be straightforward with the right support and the right plan, we'll do it, okay? If we add a whole layer around it of this is hard by using metaphors like battle, well, that's when it becomes a struggle. So the good news is that the way that we talk to ourselves, the metaphors that we use are going to have an impact. Now, it's not as simple as saying, it's easy to quit smoking, and then you quit smoking. It's more about being vigilant about the presuppositions that are contained within the metaphors that we use, all right? So if you're using a metaphor like smoking is hard and smoking is a battle and smoking is my best friend, well then what happens is internally you're consistently building up this picture of this being like a mountain to overcome, all right? And actually, for each person I work with, it's a very, very straightforward thing. There are some internal things, some internal drives that are going on, what we call spontaneous subconscious openings, and these are the things that need to be transformed. These are the very energies that once transformed, you quit and stay a non-smoker. See, there are a lot of people in the construction industry and the logistics industry in particular, they have very high levels of smoking. The stress of the job, the stress of uncertainty, long hours, often working by themselves, quite difficult conditions, okay? And the way of coping is smoking, all right? Now, what happens is we know that smoking causes, obviously, a whole host of diseases. It reinforces a sense of stress and anxiety inside because the mind gets used to looking forward to the next time when they're going to smoke. And so it reinforces any stress, as well as the physical problems which cause the potential for a lot of health issues, okay? So particularly in construction logistics industry, moving towards becoming non-smokers, becoming a non-smoker is it's just going to be a huge benefit to your business, it's going to be a huge benefit to you, it's going to be a huge benefit to everyone to quit smoking and quit smoking easily. It doesn't have to be a battle. Of course, it's always going to be a battle to quit smoking and become a non-smoker if you think it's going to be hard, if you turn up and try the same thing as everyone else, if you listen to poor advice from people who are struggling. The people you want to speak to are either people who've successfully become non-smokers and don't even think about it anymore, or people who are actually just live as non-smokers. But even then you're going to get you'll get different conscious kind of opinions on things, all right? And the way to change, the fastest and most simplest way to change that we know works is to get support. If you get support that works with your subconscious mind, if you deal with that inner stuff there, then you will quit easily, all right? But if you leave it and you don't do anything, then you just go through these cycles of I'm 50 days in, I'm 100 days in, 200 days, but I'm really worried about relapsing. Don't be that person, because you know you can stop, you know you can change, you can become a non-smoker.